What's good YouTube, and welcome to the house. Hey, I finally fixed that market watch layout. I'm sure just because I did that, TCG players going to change their layout and force me to do something again. But as surprising as me getting off my ass to do that, Blue Eyes White Dragon has skyrocketed to the top of Gold Series. This is crazy. It's outselling Infinite Impermanence, a long-awaited, finally not shorted reprint of it. It's past Golden Lord as well, which I thought it would take a good year plus for that to happen, and then like 2 years for it to climb to the top of the set as other things lost value. This is about as shocking as when Access Code Talker went from pre-sales to 30 to 70. Well, not really, because a lot of us called it. More so, it's as shocking as the Blackluster Soldier link going from $6 on pre-sales to $18 when people found immediately to $30 once it started to see use, up to $70. It's about as shocking as that, I would say. So what's happening? If you haven't been keeping up with the channel, Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician, which is now 4th place in the set, are half printed. I don't want to call them short printed because they're not necessarily shorted, but you will see about half the amount of these as the other cards that are regularly printed in the set, like Infinite Impermanence and like Golden Lord, and people want full play sets of these for their collections. A ton of people take Blue Eyes White Dragon for the icon that you play 3 of them and get 3 of every single version of them, and then Dark Magician is a fan favorite as well, and with less quantities of these in the set and vendors cracking open the set like crazy, there's just not enough quantity from those amount of sellers to meet the demand, and you can see the listings are going down. It's not as if they haven't been listing and haven't been trying to sell it, and you can see other cards. Even Droll and Lockbird has way more listers, while other in-demand cards are, you know, not as many. And Red Eyes is going up here too, but I do want to say Red Eyes is not half printed in the set. You will see about a regular amount of Red Eyes. The sources for this is both YBM and Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily have confirmed to me that you will be seeing less Blue Eyes and less Dark Magician, and I've also seen like YBM's experience opening the set with that. Now, my thoughts on it are twofold. I did think it would eventually take the top slot of the set and eventually go up as it has been, and we can see that from a past example with Duelist Saga, where this is a reprint set. It has a lot of great calls that could have gone up over time, including mid-range GOAT format stuff, and funny enough, Dark Magician is the 5th highest card in this set right now with a pretty good market price. So this is another $1 per card reprint March set that had happened before, but this rarity is way more divisive. Not as many people like it, but then you have fans of it, and it's still a special version of the card, and it slowly creeped to the top of the set over years. But this instead is skyrocketing as people have been really looking in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market this year. Where do I squirrel my money away? What's going to be going up? To the point that this has gone ridiculous. And where will it go from here? It's hard to tell you guys that a card that has only gone up will go down, but I do think this set will continue to get cracked and go crazy. But it's not just deep pockets or a few interested investors going after this. I have sales data from people like MCole40 that are telling me, yes, it's tons of different people going after these cards. That's why it's sometimes good for a person who does market watch to still be invested in the market. They can tell where things are coming from and going to, and that sort of thing, and they become a really good resource to be able to tell what's happening. It's not just a few deep pockets, it's many different people after these cards. Now, Imperm, it's not shorted this time, thank freaking gosh. It's at a pretty good price point. I think it even could level out a little, but it's still really lower than we expected. We almost thought it would just line up at 30 with how Imperm had continued to go up over time, and so many people have been waiting for this. Golden Lord is down in demand in terms that before we kind of really knew this reprint was coming, it was 115, then people got wind, and they took the gamble on that spoiler that turned out to be mostly true, and then he went down to 70, and he's just not in the metagame as much. It's almost a rogue deck slash engine at this point rather than tier 1. I guess you could call it a solid tier 2, and with that lesser demand, he's just not able to keep up in terms of pricing, and that's why you see so many more listers, and he's not even making vendors the price point of their pack back, because one pack of this to a vendor is $16.5, meaning that he's not doing it. And then there's fees and shipping, etc. The only cards doing that now are Blue Eyes and Imprint, but Blue Eyes is almost making them double on their pack, which is kind of crazy to say. The rest of the set's really good value overall in terms of how it's falling out. I called Harpies to be around 8. It's at 720, so it is right around there, and the competition is fierce. Nibiru I thought would be around 6. It's at 728, and people need full playsets of this where they only need 1 Harpies, but so many people anticipated the first Harpies reprint that would come that they were waiting for this to spend their dollar. That's why the demand is so up, and this version looks oh so good. Droll and Lockbird I called to be higher in price than its ultra and super rares, and I also figured this reprint would pull those prices down. It's around 650, and I think will creep up over the next 3 months at an immediate buyout early, and it's still above the price from where it got bought out at. And this set is beautiful. It looks really good. I think Konami did a great job outside of a couple of quality control issues. Speaking of which, let's actually pull up a Monster Reborn that Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily pulled. I just want to show you guys the continuing trends with misprints in this. They pulled this bad boy, and the auction is over $4,000 in the misprint center. So again, happy misprint hunting. I hope that your misprints are good instead of damaged pulls. It's crazy to see what has been happening with this gold series set. And yeah, Blue Eyes sold out last night at tier 0 at $15. I noticed it was still there. It's now gone. It's out over at Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily, while other oh, there goes Dark Magician too. I actually didn't see that one. While other prices have been so crazy, I'm sure they're having problems keeping up. Now let's talk about other fallout from gold series. The Dragonmaid's being reprinted, has Dragonmaid Hospitality bought out. We saw this actually 2 live streams ago, so all the way, I think, back last Wednesday as today, Saturday, and then it got brought back up on this Friday that it's doubled down on its buyout from $16, $18, and is now just gone crazy. Chamber Dragonmaid has also seen a buyout. This is one that I would have suggested at $13 to $14, and I told you guys I think it'll spike up and then fall back towards 18. Well, right now it's 21 to 22, and while it's from a core set, Eternity Code, not the thirstiest for value with all the cards that have spiked, but you have downward trends on stuff like Animador, Archosaur, kind of floating down in price, and then Girsu long term. Dude, what world do we live in? If Eternity Code had dropped, and you had the big brain theorized that Chamber Dragonmaid would go past Girsu while this was pre-selling for 80 to 100, congratulations, you won the waifu war. But for real, it's just wild that this is happening. And the Starlight looks to be going up from its market price just a little bit too. Now I want to talk Virtual World. I underestimated this deck, and even when I underestimated it, I said that Lulu was probably a good buy at 6. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I almost think it's a good buy at 10, and that it will probably head towards 15, because there's nothing expensive in this deck, and it is so freaking good. Having played against it, seeing it in the LCS today, but with participants going after it when they have the choice of other decks. This deck, I know it's VFD goes true king of all calamities, but it's relatively cheap for what it is. One ban list really could shove it in the right direction to where it takes over the metagame, and it's standing on its own 2 legs right now with the madness that's happening. I respect it. I think it's one of the best decks to also play Droplet in, which is probably one of the most expensive cards you could play in here if you're not playing the budget version, but boy, do I respect the heck out of it, and I went to a really close game 3 playing Zodiac against it. Now, Croco Dragon, I brought it up recently that it seems to be spiking upwards, is played in here. It's from Eternity Code. It's a little bit older, and I think that with this card being played in there, you could see this finally go up towards 5, 7. It's a penny stunk I've called for a long time. Don't want to overpush it. I'm not vested. You know I don't buy and sell cards, but I do have a little bit of pride, and I do think that this card is amazing for what it is, but most people only play 1. It helps you make true kings of all calamities while doing stuff that you want to do in the deck, and it has been trending upward here, so I think it could continue to go up in price. Get yours sooner than later, and if you're on the fence sitting thinking about this deck, don't be like the Funko Pop collectors that go, oh, that's a common pop, it's only $9, I can get it later on clearance, and then all of a sudden it's $30, it's vaulted, it's 30, I'll go ahead and get it before it spikes to 50. Don't be that guy that just waits on a deck that's already extremely budget for the most part. Pick up your pieces now. This is extremely budget friendly and a really good deck. If you're even thinking about playing this deck, just go ahead and grab it using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. But hopefully you listened to me while this was $6 and you already got a way better deal. And finally, I want to talk about why Phantom Rage is falling out, why it's so thirsty for value, and that's also a part of why I think the virtual worlds can go higher. Well, they do play a singular Zeus. I don't think they play multiple, but Zeus, imagine if we go back to Eternity Code, which we were just looking at a bit. Instead, it's overprinted. Its top boss monster isn't quite as generic as Access Code Talker. Pankratops finally gets a secret rare, but it also can't play during the opponent's turn. And then you get just weird other archetypes that, like, do see success, but not as much as you would like. Like Tornscale, amazing card, but the deck's just not proving itself right now. I really like that deck too, but when it comes to the virtual worlds, that's why I think they could see an expanse in value. So many vendors bought into this thinking it was Rise of the Duelist 2.0, and you have Triple Tactics Talent, which was being touted as overhyped, underhyped, is it just right hyped, and it turns out it might have been underhyped, and then it spiked in price. Droplet as well, spiking in price. You have the whole Dogmatica archetype that is a top tier archetype instead of a tier 2/rogue archetype. This is like, if you are putting it next to Phantom Rage, well, you're putting it next to Rise of the Duelist, my bad. If you're putting it next to Phantom Rage next to Rise of the Duelist, it's not anything close to it. This is more like an Eternity Code that's a little bit weaker, that got way overprinted compared to Eternity Code, which was short printed because people ordered gobs of this because this is the first one that wasn't going to see allocation. And now you'd see directly at this, vendors are willing to basically take losses, even my sponsor YBM here, on cases and just yeet them out the window for basically a loss on top of fees. This is wild to see how cheap it has gotten. So if you're hunting Starlights too, the Starlights aren't performing like people thought because this is getting so widely open to try to get out of the loss of value, to just get it out. I expect to see Black Friday sales on this basically for a newer product. That's insane. Whereas gold, I don't think it will have as many sales like that. But let me know what you think of Phantom Rage and the Fallout. I personally think that's kind of why people thought it would be Rise 2.0. People thought it would just be a banger, and it turned out to be kind of a weaker Eternity Code. Still a solid set, but you're under those new ratios. You're only seeing 2.4 of each secret per case on just basic math, 10 different secrets, and now you can't pull full play sets anymore out of 24 secrets. And the Ultras are also harder to get too. That's why I do think Mahime is worth a look. Ultras are now 14 different ones per set, and they didn't up that ratio either. It's still 4 per box. So you are looking at not getting as many Ultras as you would hope, and in a set thirsty for value, that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. What do you think of the insane Blue Eyes buyout, how Phantom Rage has fallen, and Dragonmaid being still my rival here on the Market Watch? Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And I do actually want to hear from you in the comment section. It enriches my own content. It enriches how I'm thinking and moving about cards to have discussions on them instead of just hear myself in my head, which the Discord, you guys have been amazing for that too.